Let me ask you a fundamental question about modern economics. Can a billionaire compete against a country? If you are a highly successful hedge fund manager or an American sports tycoon, your wealth is measured in the billions. You answer to a board of directors. You answer to shareholders. You are bound by the gravitational laws of profit and loss. But what happens when the entity sitting across the negotiating table from you isn't a businessman? What happens when the entity is a nation-state, backed by the subterranean wealth of the Arabian Peninsula, answering to no one but the ruling monarch? Look at Newcastle United. For 14 years under Mike Ashley, it was a stagnant, decaying institution, a club stripped of ambition, existing purely to survive. Then, in a matter of 24 hours in October 2021, the paperwork cleared in London. The club was acquired. And overnight, a mid-table football team in the northeast of England transformed into the most intensely monitored, heavily debated, and geopolitically significant sporting entity on the planet. The fans celebrated outside St. James Park, drinking brown ale and dreaming of Champions League trophies. But up in the boardroom, the new owners were not dreaming of silverware. To the architects in Riyadh, Doha, and Abu Dhabi, a football club is not a sporting venture. It is a macroeconomic lever. This isn't a story about football. This is a story about macro-financial survival in a post-oil world. Welcome to the sovereign game. To understand the tectonic shift in European football, we must define the apex predator of global finance, the sovereign wealth fund. A sovereign wealth fund is a state-owned investment fund composed of money generated by the government, often derived from a country's surplus reserves. In the case of the Gulf states, this wealth is pumped directly from the ground. We are talking about the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia, the Qatar Investment Authority, and the various sovereign vehicles of Abu Dhabi. To comprehend their power, you must understand their timeline. Consider a traditional, highly competent ownership group like Fenway Sports Group at Liverpool. FSG operates on a standard corporate timeline. They need to show quarterly revenues. They need to demonstrate annual EBITDA growth. If they want to buy a £70 million midfielder, they must generate that capital organically through ticket sales, broadcasting rights, and commercial partnerships. A sovereign wealth fund does not operate on an annual fiscal calendar. They operate on a 50-year horizon. When your capital reserves are tied directly to the price of a barrel of Brent crude oil, your transfer budget is effectively infinite. But here is the paradox. Their immense wealth is precisely why they are buying football clubs. The Gulf states are acutely aware that the hydrocarbon era has an expiration date. The global transition towards renewable energy is accelerating. Therefore, these nations must execute a strategy of radical post-oil diversification.
They must transform their economies from oil exporters into global hubs of technology, tourism, and foreign direct investment. And to do that, they need to buy the world's attention. They don't need a quick return on investment. They need a permanent seat at the table of Western cultural relevance. So why choose football? Why not simply buy more real estate in Mayfair or invest heavily in Silicon Valley tech startups? Because football provides a unique, highly leveraged diplomatic mechanism known as soft power projection. In the realm of international relations, hard power is military might and economic sanctions. Soft power is the ability to co-opt rather than coerce. It is the ability to shape the preferences of others through appeal and attraction. From a geopolitical standpoint, purchasing a European football club is astonishingly cheap. When the PIF purchased Newcastle United for roughly £300 million, it was treated as a monumental sporting event. But in the context of Saudi Arabia's $2 trillion sovereign wealth portfolio, £300 million is a rounding error. It is the equivalent of a wealthy individual buying a cup of coffee. Yet the return on that minor investment is staggering. A football club acts as a mobile embassy. It is a Trojan horse of goodwill. When Paris Saint-Germain, owned by Qatar Sports Investments, QSI, signs Lionel Messi or Neymar, The state of Qatar dominates the global news cycle for weeks, associating the nation with excellence, glamour, and success, rather than geopolitical controversies. But the influence goes far beyond the back pages of the sports section. It greases the wheels of the macroeconomy. When the executives of Abu Dhabi or Riyadh sit in the VIP director's box at the Etihad Stadium or St. James Park, they are not just hosting football executives. They are hosting British members of parliament. They are hosting mayors, real estate developers, and defense contractors. The football club becomes the ultimate B2B networking lounge. The goodwill generated by investing in a local community's beloved football team seamlessly opens the doors for multi-billion-pound infrastructure contracts, trade agreements, and diplomatic treaties between nations. The club is a loss leader. The profit is political hegemony. This influx of sovereign wealth has utterly dismantled the traditional European football ecosystem. Look at Manchester City and the City Football Group. Abu Dhabi didn't simply buy a football club. They engineered a multinational, vertically integrated sports conglomerate spanning 5 continents. They effectively bypassed the historical aristocracy of Manchester United, Real Madrid, and Bayern Munich. They raised the financial barrier to entry so extraordinarily high that traditional clubs had to take on toxic levels of debt simply to keep pace, ultimately forcing UEFA to rewrite the rules of financial fair play.
But the strategy has now evolved beyond merely buying European clubs. The frontier has shifted to the desert itself. Observe the aggressive expansion of the Saudi Pro League. The Western media initially dismissed this as a retirement home for aging superstars. They missed the geopolitical objective entirely. The Saudi Pro League is being meticulously utilized to validate the nation as a premier destination for global business and tourism, operating as the sporting anchor for Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's Vision 2030. When the PIF authorizes a $200 million annual salary for Cristiano Ronaldo, they are not buying a striker to score goals in Riyadh. They are acquiring a geopolitical asset. Ronaldo's social media footprint acts as a broadcast network, beaming sanitized, luxurious images of Saudi Arabia to 500 million followers daily. He is normalizing the kingdom to the Western consumer. He is the ultimate influencer, deployed by a sovereign state to overwrite decades of negative PR. They are not concerned with whether Al Nasser turns a profit. The profit is the successful rebranding of the nation. Naturally, the legacy elite of European football, the American venture capitalists and the European billionaires, are terrified. They realize they cannot outspend an adversary that literally prints its own money. Consequently, the battlefield has shifted from the transfer market to the courtroom. We are currently witnessing a brutal regulatory war. If you cannot outspend a sovereign state, you must legislate against them. This is the root of the current civil war tearing through the Premier League and UEFA. The regulators are attempting to build legal moats to keep the sovereign wealth contained. How do you regulate a nation-state? You target their commercial lifelines through strict oversight of related party transactions. A related party transaction occurs when a club signs a sponsorship deal with a company that shares the same ultimate ownership as the club itself. Think of Etihad Airways sponsoring Manchester City, or Visit Saudi, Salah, and Moon sponsoring Newcastle United, or Qatar Airways sponsoring PSG. The legacy clubs argue that these are not legitimate arm's-length commercial deals. They argue these are disguised equity injections. They claim that sovereign owners are artificially inflating the value of shirt sponsorships and stadium naming rights to pump unearned cash into the club, thereby circumventing profit and sustainability rules, PSR. This has led to the establishment of fair market value assessments. The Premier League now employs independent auditors to determine if a sponsorship deal from Riyadh or Abu Dhabi is genuinely worth the paper it is printed on, or if it is a geopolitical subsidy. It is a legal minefield. How do you accurately assess the fair market value of a sponsorship
when the sponsor is a sovereign wealth fund whose primary objective is diplomacy rather than conventional retail sales. This regulatory friction is the defining legal battle of the decade. It is American private equity deploying lawyers to fight Gulf sovereign wealth. The romantic era of football is long gone. The era of the local businessman buying his boyhood club is a relic of the 20th century. Even the era of the rogue billionaire oligarch is fading into the history books. We have entered a geopolitical theater, where the pitch is merely a proxy for international diplomacy. When Manchester City plays Newcastle United, or when Paris Saint-Germain plays in the Champions League, you are no longer watching 11 men against 11 men. You are not watching Pep Guardiola against Eddie Howe. You are watching the United Arab Emirates against the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. You are watching Qatar against American private equity. You are watching a proxy war of gross domestic products. The sovereign wealth funds have looked at the global cultural landscape and deduced that football is the ultimate universal language, and they have decided to buy the dictionary. So, I leave you with this question to debate in the comments below. Is the very soul of football currently up for sale to the highest bidder? Or is this simply the inevitable, ruthless evolution of the global free market? I'm your auditor. Class dismissed.